Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, as we are in the thick of things here in the round of 76. I'm going to be heading over to Rotterdam, who is still in Clem versus Keen. Game number 3, currently 1-1.
Yep, no longer 17 SCVs deep, now 17 siege tanks deep, so a little more interesting. Let's go ahead and hop into it. They are both playing identical styles. Obviously, the biggest difference in this game has been that Keen loved his Cyclones. You guys can see he lost 18 of them. Clem only 2. Clem has been down 30-40 supply, but Clem is actually the one pushing because he had the superior army. He had more tanks and he had more Ravens for the longest time. I just saw the funniest fight, by the way, Jeff. There was a battle on this side, and basically there were 12 or 14 interference matrix casted.
No.
So it felt like a scene out of Black Mirror, you know? It's like, I was like, wow, I've never seen this actually. Like,
when nobody can fight, is there even a fight?
How can we fight things that don't exist? But anyway, so Clem just picked off. Well, at least he forced his orbital to lift off. I don't know, he's still down in economy.
Counterattack.
There is a counterattack indeed. He actually sneaking a couple of tanks to the other side of the map as well. Those are gonna get cleaned up. You know where those tanks are over here? Yeah, they're right here.
Right there.
And
wow.
Part of that.
What was that?
I don't know what it was. They were
right there.
Damn it. No, I'm no longer. It's only a circle. I was
It's
a line.
70 some odd supply advantage, and there's a circle there too.
I was a line before. Now I'm a circle. I'm done, guys.
Clem looks to be in pretty bad shape, my friends.
Yeah. I think that Clem had a pretty good push, but I really think that the Cyclones, even though most of them fell in the end, they really allowed Keen to take control of this game. He was ahead economically, he picked off a lot of tanks, and obviously these are fights that Keen will gladly take, being 20-30 workers ahead of his opponent. I think that's going to be a GG well played, so we called the tail end of Game 3.
Nice.
A good showing by Clem, I think. I really think he made it difficult for Keen, but also kudos to the Korean for turning it around after a rough game 1.
Imagine that. Imagine that. Impressive stuff.
That'll set up Pure Marine versus Keen.
Yes.
It's a good TVT.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be Kura versus Fantasy as well, which you're going to be kind of checking in on.
I've got it on my laptop, James. I'll keep us informed on it.
Nice. I like that very much.
Yeah.
And our match is not going to be the Hero Marine match. It is going to be MaNa going up against Leenock, I believe. So, Jeff, starting with you, what are your thoughts going into that match?
I mean, MaNa with a really big performance, but of course, like we said, it's very scrappy, kind of an ugly play. And I think in the PvZ matchup, that's obviously MaNa is not going to play the exact same kind of stuff, but against Leenock, I feel like that is the door getting slammed on you. If you make some ugly mistakes, if you're a little bit chaotic, he's the kind of player, I mean, Testosis loves to talk about this. He's got like 8 arms and all that stuff. He's all over you. He's got the speed lanes. If you leave a hole open, he'll jump on it. So I think this is really tough for MaNa, but any of those European players that practice against good Zergs, well, guess what? Europe is chock full of them. So MaNa knows what he's doing.
Ben, let's see if you're audible.
Hello, can you hear me?
No.
No, still not working.
Oh, wait.
Oh, it's working now? Hello,
Say it now.
team. Hello. Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you. Yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah, I can hear him. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you hear
Let's go, let's go.
Yeah, you get him?
Thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, I hear him because he's standing next to me, but I don't know if that means it works. His voice works. I mean, if that helps, guys.
Your thoughts on this matchup, Ben?
I think Leenock is a guy that we can all say was absolutely one of the best Zergs in the world. Maybe like the
2011,
MLG era,
yeah,
you know,
2011, 2012.
I remember when he came second in GSL. But
Jeff
it's
likes
been
to
a long
tease us
time.
for this, you know.
Really?
Like, whenever I bring up something, even if it's last year, he's like, Kevin, nobody cares what happened on the ladder a year and a half ago, okay?
Hang on, he's building up to a point. I can feel it. Wait for it.
But I do think he's seen better days, right? Like he was last in his GSL group as well, which he lost to Fantasy. I think he also lost to Impact or so, or maybe TUI.
Yeah, they were
But
both in that group.
He's still good. He's still good. And against MaNa, I think it's going to be a close series.
Roddy, final thoughts?
I agree with what you said. And
Before Jeff does anything.
No, I think in general, the European Protoss should do pretty well against Korean Zergs that are not Rogue or Dark. I think those two are like obviously in a category by themselves.
Maybe.
Su as well, no, I'll agree with that. But I think like guys like Ragnarok, Leenock, yeah, they're really good players, but they should not be like untakeable hurdles for guys like MaNa. I think that MaNa has a good shot here.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's head over to our commentary team. It is going to be Todd and Piggy bringing you StarCrafts.
Well done, James.
Thank you very much, Kalaris. I'm a little bit sad. I thought you were going to come walk over here and join us, but just throwing it across the room, we're not as special as Maynard and Muslim, I guess.
Yeah, the cat-eye strut is a thing of beauty, so hopefully we'll see more of that later on. But yeah, great matchup here coming up, a PvZ, Poland against South Korea, and in this case, MaNa, we got to follow him in his first match. I was pretty impressed. You know, Fantasy is not an easy matchup for anybody. He had a great performance at the last Home Story Cup. He kind of, you know, came back strong after going to the army. So very impressed with MaNa so far, but now he goes up against a completely different beast in Leenock, a very aggressive Zerg.
He's a cheeky boy. Leenock's one of these guys. He's always had his own way of playing StarCraft. I remember back in the early days, he was a player who would just focus on the tactics. You know, more than anything else, he becomes better and more dangerous when he actually has less economy to work with because he's such a cheeky guy. One of the original people who loved to use kind of burrow infested traps, lots of burrowed roaches and weird drop plays. So Leenock's just a guy who always brings out some crazy strategies. Some fans no doubt remembering him almost eliminating Maru from a GSL series last year. But we're going to see what he can do as we launch into map number 1. Down here at the bottom right-hand side, hailing from Poland, representing Team Liquid, he is MaNa.
And his opponents, starting at the top left-hand side of the map and in the red, it is Leenock.
He's had some of the wildest colored hair over the last many years of his career.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it's like bright orange or something like that. Coming in with the purple today. I like it.
The Swarm.
Hells yeah.
I think the Swarm.
Though on these super high graphics, the creep kind of looks a bit more muddy, but I like to think of it as that kind of thick purple, almost Play-Doh textured ground. It is a nice early block here for MaNa. He sent that probe across so fast on Port Alexander. And, you know, it's something which Leenock wasn't really prepared for. He's going to be forced into the pool and the gas. And MaNa's going to follow that up with a Nexus first on 17 supply as well. I like MaNa mixing up the openings here.
Yeah, I mean, PVZ recently was definitely affected by the recent Nidus changes, which I think we should cover here definitely. You know, Nidus more resistant, the unload rates super quick now. Like units get out of there like very, very fast. So that makes it a really, really strong thing to do, especially if you can catch your opponent off guard. But because it's been used quite a bit, it's kind of hard to catch anybody off guard. But even, I guess, even if you don't catch them off guard, it's still a really strong. Like, where do you feel like the Nidus currently fits in the PVZ matchup?
Well, I like the way you say that. It's so popular in the last few weeks, and it's one of these things we can say at the start of this tournament, oh man, Nidus, everyone's going to do it. But the pro players, it's so in the front of their mind. Everyone's scouting for it and keeping an eye out. We're always seeing adepts checking with their shade to see if there's an early lair in that main base. You can see MaNa trying to hang around with this probe as long as possible. I feel like it does have quite a lot of flexibility. You know, we've seen a lot of just the very quick Roach Queen all-in Nidus, but it does have positioning utility, and that's what the change was meant for. Because it's only 50 minerals and 50 gas, each time you kind of spawn a new head of that Nidus, you can just reposition your army so quickly so you can attack a fourth base, then suddenly evacuate into the Nidus, pop out in their main, and it's something Protoss players have to be very, I think, aware of, just shutting down the Zerg vision. If the Zerg can have enough spotting locations in the late mid-game, they can just create so many problems for the Protoss player.
Yeah, Protoss is usually the race you think of in terms of being able to reinforce across the map very quickly, but now Zergs, they kind of have that themselves with the Nidus, so that in a game where they get ahead, or if the Protoss gets too greedy, they can really punish that with some of these Nidus plays. So always one thing to keep in mind, and I think MaNa will be very well aware, but it takes a lot of time to get it adjusted to a new meta and really understand how to play against it. And in this case, MaNa, I spoke to him before this matchup, he told me he's very well aware of how aggressive Leenock likes to play. So he kind of knows to watch out, but he doesn't exactly know what for, you know? Like, Leenock is capable of doing so many different things.
Speaking of which, he's rushing the lair, but he's also building about 30 Zerglings here. This is going to be a very scary assault. He knows MaNa's opened up with Stalker first. He doesn't have a lot of damage. He does have a sentry out, which will allow him to help defend the wall, but that Stalker is already in big trouble. He needs to wall this off here. Nice force field, saves the Stalker's life.
Yeah, like behind this, you don't really know if you're MaNa, how many more links are coming and whether there's a lot of them. Is he going to use
a Dropper Lord on the right-hand side in the back of the natural as well? He's got an Overlord floating there. His lair is finished.
Yeah, this one is a little bit late on the left-hand side. He's starting a Nidus back at home, so it is going to be one of those Niduses. We talked about the worlds being walked on here. Warp Gate will complete no matter what, but his gateways, they might just go down here in a second, and it's going to be very hard to reinforce if you don't have any production facilities. MaNa is starting a Twilight Council. He needs more gateways.
Wow, I mean, Leenock has got so many Zerglings. There is no way to defend this if they can get inside MaNa's base. But MaNa, he's got a pylon up. Can he see the corner of his base? I think he's got full vision in here. If he can stop that Nidus Worm from getting out, and he should be able to with a second Immortal on the way, then he's going to be in a good spot. So it's just a matter of reacting quickly. The Nidus is ready, and it's going to start going down right in the corner of that base, Todd. The Immortal has to get there right now. I don't know if it's going to be quick enough.
Yeah, the gateway is still being walked on at the front of the wall as well. Gonna force some of the units to stay there. Nidus is about to finish. Let's see if that Immortal can do the job. The second one's not there yet. So many Queens are gonna transfuse onto that Nidus canal. He's recalling out there.
Recall to the main Nexus, but that Immortal's still going to get surrounded. The second Immortal that pops out gets surrounded immediately. And MaNa is in so much trouble. He just does not have the firepower right now to deal with this disgusting attack from Leenock. Only 23 workers and just a flood of Lings, 3 Queens in there to support as well. You need Zealots, you need Archons, you just need more units. 1 or 2 Immortals is not going to cut it.
If there ever was a time to start a Dark Shrine because you fell behind, I guess now is the time. But I mean, there's already a lair, there's already an Overseer here for Leenock, and I highly doubt this is going to change too much. MaNa's going to find himself stuck on his natural base, and Leenock can just freely drone now, start the 3rd base, do whatever he wants, and kind of threaten here with his army around that 1 base of MaNa.
Yeah, MaNa here has set up a beautiful little defense on that base. I think it's smart of Leenock to back off. He's taken a 3rd. He started to build workers. He's even spreading creep inside that main base. And MaNa, of course, digging for a way to get back in this game. But DTs, when your opponent already has a lair, an Overseer already on the way, there's no secrets here. Leenock has all the time in the world to prepare.
Yeah. You need so many units to defend against the Nidus. Like, I mean, now it wasn't even close, right? Like, the Queens just were using transfusions and saving that easily. So, and MaNa only went up to 35 drones. Again, what was it, 23?
23 drones, yeah.
23 drones to 35 probes. Like, you have to wonder, like, when do you need to cut to make sure you have enough units? I think starting the Twilight for sure was a mistake, but yeah, maybe if you had gone up to 4 gates quicker, you could have bought a little bit of time and then defend it, but it's so tough, right?
Yeah, speaking of tough, I mean, the Contaminate, when the Warp Prism is at 99%, the DT Shrine's ready. He wants to get harassing with some Archons, but this is just making Leenock's life so easy. Right now, it's like, what? Okay, 4 gateways have been rebuilt, 3 or 4, a Robo. It's going to make a few Archons, but Leenock's got roach speed, he's got roaches, yeah. And Leenock's only at 35 workers. I like that he's playing this nice and safe.
Oh, the Observer.
Oh,
gonna go down. Yeah, that's terrible, because now he has to remake that, and might have wanted to be making something else from that Robo. Clearing that creep, getting rid of this army here inside of his main base. Also one of the priorities, so he could maybe re-expand there. How ready is Leenock against those?
I think he should have an Overseer and about 10 roaches, a few more on the way, just kind of mixing drones and roaches here. As Leenock, you don't need to worry about the opponent's economy. Only now is that new natural expansion down at the 3rd low ground being started for MaNa. So Leenock's way ahead. If he can just mix roaches, roaches and drones, as long as he doesn't take too much damage here, he will be completely fine.
Yeah, not quite in position here with the roaches.
Yeah.
A little bit surprised about this, because he had some overloads on the right side of his main base here to kind of see that coming, but yeah, that's gonna do a bit of damage here. 3 drones already going down, forcing some of them to get away.
Ooh,
not landing for some time.
Big shots, actually. 7 workers in total, not bad.
Yeah, he just completed a guerrilla reconstitution, so I guess this kind of army, you know, where you only have a small army with a few Archons, mass roaches are gonna be the key unit, where if you can get a lot of them, you can just kite easily, take out the Archons, and then everything else falls, even despite, you know, having, in this case, 2 Immortals here for MaNa.
Yeah, losing his expansion behind that, MaNa's pinned back on 1 base. He's going to micro his heart out. This is what MaNa does. MaNa enjoys these scrappy stages of the game where he just tries to micro his heart out and get any value he can. Of course, we know, seeing everything, there's no chances left for the Polish player. He is down and out. Leenock gets an Immortal, continues to hold the main base whilst spreading creepware. Elsewhere on the map, MaNa's Archons are not going to find any more damage, and even getting his base sieged. Probes getting taken down by the Corrosive Bile from the high ground.
Yeah, very nicely done by Leenock. You can tell he's done this before. He's been in that very situation. He's Nidus to Protoss, and he was like, you know what, I can just make a couple of Ravagers, shoot these buys, prevent mining, or kill some of your probes. MaNa just... He cannot get rid of this army soon enough. He really wants to go up there and finally get rid of that. The Warp Prism is going to help a lot with the micro potential here onto those Immortals in particular. Let's see if he has enough here.
There's a lot of roaches that aren't here right now. They need to hop back in the Nidus and pop out to fight. MaNa taking as good as a fight as he could possibly hope for. Those Immortals in the back doing massive damage. Now those roaches do start to reinforce, so I think MaNa's going to realize that is a ton of units, but actually maybe not enough here. Leenock taking some pretty uncomfortable engagements. he just doesn't quite have enough roaches.
Yeah, really nice Prism micro by MaNa, and Leenock doesn't overextend. He fought as effectively as he could for as long as he could, and then he's like, okay, I'm out of here. Retake your main base if you want to. I'm already on 3 bases, and I'm ahead in walkers, so I don't really mind. And now it becomes a game of how aggressive does MaNa want to play from there. Like he kind of has to re-expand, it feels like.
Yeah, what are you going to do, right? I mean, he's so pinned back. I would say there's no right decision, yeah? I mean, he's on 1 base. He's got to do just one big desperate attack, and he's only got 1 force field that lands in the middle of that fight. A few Immortals, a few Archons. The shield batteries will help out here, but good micro. Just notice how Leenock's angling there, using the superior surface area. Landing corrosive piles from behind as well. And he's deciding, okay, time's... Oh, the Immortal gets stopped. That's the second time Robo has been shut down.
I said, how aggressive does MaNa want to play? But I had it all wrong. Leenock is the one to attack into him. Even though he's stuck on 1 base, he's like, you know what, I can kill you, and I will. And I think he's just got too much.
Yeah, recalls a few of these Immortals back here, but just so many units getting smashed down. MaNa's going to tap out. And game 1 goes to the Lean Octopus. Nice cheeky plays there. It was a very odd build. It was a Ling Flood mixed with a Nidus. You know, I've seen some different weird kind of Queen Ling Nidus worms. I haven't seen it off 23 workers before. Yeah. We saw Scarlet try one with like +1 melee and like 45-50 workers in GSL. Didn't quite work out. But Leenock just pedal to the metal, says, you know what, you can't defend your wall. And on that base, where the Nidus was so far from the natural wall, we saw the Immortal just couldn't get there to shut that down in time. So that was nice, well thought out play.
That was maybe the winning trick here as well. Is like those Lings at the front, because forcing the shield batteries, like you said, you know, they don't help in the main base. And that was a really nice one. You know, like usually if there is an Nidus coming, you know, you'd like to see it coming. But now the Lings, they deny that. And also they apply a lot of pressure at the front of the wall. Yeah. So it was really, really nicely done. Really well thought of build here from Leenock. And again, MaNa knew there was something aggressive coming, but Leenock sold him a story, but the one that was happening was an entirely different one with the Nidus against which MaNa just wasn't ready enough.
Oh, it looks like Namshar is actually playing. Maybe Q's tech issues did finally get fixed up. We can see a lot of players down here. Keen as well, looking good. All the players, of course, have a lot of matches to get through here in this tournament stage. At the open bracket here is just such an exciting and challenging moment.
Hopefully we can get some more of these priceless laptop segments where we actually see a game. So far we've only seen one.
Dude, I think we've got like another 10 hours of broadcast at least today. There's gonna be so many over this week as well. And of course in the group stage as well, it's not like, you know, some 4-man GSL, you know, winner versus winner. It's round robin. There's so many matches. So all through the tournament, basically up until the last day, we have non-stop kind of hopovers to the laptop coverage, hopovers into the other games that are going on at the same time. And there are the other streams running and covering some of those as well. So excited to see where this day takes us, as we are right now, of course, waiting for map number 2 of MaNa versus Leenock. And game 1 was very aggressive from Leenock. MaNa couldn't quite stop it, but he himself was not doing, you know, the old school Stargate build. He was going for the Robo himself. He was going for the fast Immortals. So I think he definitely had aggression on his mind as well. Game 2, is it going to be the same? Both players trying to get in each other's face, or is one of them going to sit back a little bit further? We're going to have to find out here as we launch into Kairos Junction. Down here in the bottom right, in the blue, it's Liquid MaNa.
His opponent in the top left, in the red, playing Zerg, it is Leenock. And remember, 3 of the 16 players will move on to the group stage. Both Leenock and MaNa could make it. There is a lower bracket, but obviously it's a lot easier to win this match and then defeat one more opponent in the qualifying match, which would be SOS or Cure or Namshar, taking on the winner of this match here.
It's always much easier if you don't go to that lower bracket. The lower bracket adds a lot of matches to your day and, you know, adds a lot of pressure in each one of those matches, much more mentally taxing. Once again, MaNa very keen to disrupt Leenock from doing a hatchery first, but Leenock responds very quickly with that pool gas this time around. And he's going to be Nexus first into gate once again for MaNa. So MaNa seems like he's very set on doing this build. This time around, though, he gets the pylon down at the natural again. So Leenock in that last game was able to put the hatchery down right on 300 minerals at 1 minute 20 this time. Gets the pylon down, and I think MaNa might even let that pylon finish.
What do you think would be the sickest mind game by Leenock to do here to try and trick MaNa? Like where if he opens similarly, so he does the links at the front, but then he just drones up like a madman, and then MaNa is like, oh my god, there's a Nidus coming. He gets a bunch of gateways.
Well, you know, I almost thought he was just going to like do the elevator on with the overlords. Yeah. But I think generally just kind of threatening with 8 to 12 lings can be nice, or not even doing that and just watching your opponent play a little bit safer. You know, you can go lair and you can still go for weird sorts of tech like Mutalisks. We see the old 2-base Roach build, which was very popular in the late end of last year, usually transitions into Swarm Hosts. 6 lings have been made nice and quickly here. That Cybercore very late. So is going to have to be a second Zealot on the way here. And MaNa's going to have to cancel that pylon and go out and fight that.
Oh, and Leenock was waiting. Just pounces on that one.
Quick
Zealot here. He's going to take it out before the second one's out. No,
He only got 1 kill. He only got 1 kill on those Zerglings. That's really bad. Now these Zerglings, there we go. That's the micro you want to do as the Zealot. You want to kind of step backwards, land a hit, step backwards. Because the moment you stand still, the Zerglings will surround you and they'll be able to continually land those much faster attacks. And they will be able to pile in. Baneling Nest on the way. Leenock is just a madman. He's not holding back 15 workers, and that's it. And MaNa has no scouting. With this Nexus first, you don't get an Adept early, you don't have any follow-up scouting, and Leenock has said, I will take advantage of that. Look how weak that gateway is. I don't care if you fully wall off, you're not going to be able to hold on.
It's a big gap here between the core and gateway. I think some links could actually sneak in, especially if that Zealot's not in position. Oh my god, MaNa. What is going on? It's falling apart. That gateway is still on hit points. He's going to be targeted down, and I think it will go down. And those links
There's no
will
minerals.
be able to stream through there.
There's no minerals here. Barely gets a pylon down. Would have loved that to be a gateway instead. He's got no army production right now.
He has a force field.
0 production. 1 force field is going to buy him a few seconds, but where does he even put it? All of his structures are about to die.
MaNa, you need to be an architect right now. Drops down the force field, needs to rewall maybe with the pylon next to those 2 that are injured. Banelings are going to start coming in and there is no force field left.
There's just no army production here. You've got Lings and Banes in your base. This is a loss. There is nothing you can do here as MaNa. Leenock too decisive against this Nexus first. He says, you've committed a pylon to my side of the base. You've gone Nexus first. There is nothing you can do. MaNa, of course, kind of takes his hat off to his opponent there by stacking the probes up and giving him the juiciest Baneling hit possible. Leenock takes that one out in convincing fashion. A very decisive way to punish the Nexus first opening there from MaNa. 2 games in a row.
Yeah, very nicely done here. I think, like I said, MaNa knew aggression was going to come. Leenock is like, I don't care that it's just going to be too powerful for you to handle, and does exactly when he needs to. Grabs a 2-0 victory, so he's going to be in the qualifying match now.
Yeah.
Going up against either SOS, Cure, or Namshar.
Well, Artos' predictions so far holding true. I know he was on that Leenock hype train. I can't wait to hear from the man himself, Leenock. We're going to have an interview with him in just a moment. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with IEM Katowice.